Welcome to the Brewtiful Game. Not just any Brewtiful Game, but our eighth wrap-up of a Premier League season since Leicester won in 2016. So since then, as always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
8 years?
Dude. Well, I guess 7 years, but 8, you know what I mean? Like eight wrap-ups.
And hot off the presses, Claudio Ranieri just retired.
Yeah.
Just announced his retirement. He was the one that won. He was the one that led that Leicester side to.
Homie knew we had an anniversary episode today.
Homie did know. Homie don't play that. Homie didn't play that season.
No. Can you believe that?
Unbelievable.
Did the math right before hopping on. That's how long we've been doing this. For everybody listening, thanks. Hey, especially you, Kim. Shout out to you for sending us an awesome wrap-up email of the season, and we might dive into some of that in this episode. So on tonight's special Brewtiful Game 8th wrap-up Premier League episode, our little bitty podcast, the podcast that could. It ain't a Leicester City winning the championship this time. Well, wait a minute. They did win a championship. Instead, it's once again Man City and Pep Guardiola, who win their unprecedented fourth Premier League championship in a row. 115. Oh, God, sorry. I don't know what that was.
Charges.
Oh, 115.
Yeah, the bug's going.
Woo, sorry. A lot of pollen, guys. Then for the final match day and the final table, we'll have our final 2-minute-ish drill of the season, giving our thoughts, comments, and amateur opinions on the headlines and storylines leading us into the off-season. Then we'll blow that halftime whistle as the European qualifying euphoric lover of Nicholas Jackson. And in the morning for Mauricio Pochettino, none other than Ron shares with us all the VAR that's fit to make you drink in an all-new segment we just made up called Ron's VAR Voluptuous Stat Padding Missed Call Who Faked the Ref's Corner. And then, say that 8 times fast. And then for the second half of the pod, an extra time, we've got your bestesses of the season that was. Just before we wrap up the Premier League season, we're going to look back at how probably bad our predictions ended up playing out for the Premier League season.
They are interesting. I will say that. I blew my mind on some of the picks that we had.
And then lastly, in extra time, we'll close out the pod with a La Liga's roundup. As Ferris will let us know if Bayern Leverkusen did the unthinkable in the Bundesliga. I mean, if you listen to this, you probably know the answer to that. While two legends of German football say goodbye. But first up, our beer. Gents, for all the technical issues and talking through the show that we did prior, we didn't talk about who'd go first, so I will for the beer. In honor of Bayern Leverkusen, I am going with a German-style beer. I have been on a super Pilsner kick lately. I think it's because I got to New England, and they really do love their New England IPA, so I've just had a lot of New England IPA since moving here. But I'm staying with a New England beer, a brewery called New Park Brewing that's in Weha, West Hartford, not too far away. This is it's kind of a cool, I don't know if you guys can see, it's like almost like a slightly Japanese like ink drawing of the skyline of West Hartford. It's a cool can, super simple. You don't actually see any logo until you turn the back, and it's very small, and it is there. This and that Pilsner. And the This and That Pilsner is a Czech-style Pilsner, 5.2% ABV. A Pilsner that was cold fermented, lagered for many weeks, hopped entirely with Czech Saaz. And then we get the notes of bready Pilsner malt, fresh cut flowers, white tea leaves, and soft minerality.
Ooh.
This and that.
White tea leaves. I haven't had a tea leaf beer since China.
I don't know if I ever had one, to be honest with
Well, and this doesn't have white tea leaves. I had to read that twice. It says it gives the flavor of, notes of. So it's not actually in there. All right, gents, what you got?
America. I had a poker night on Saturday with the boys, and stopped at the old Publix out there by Blake, where you used to live. You know, where I play cards across the street from your old house.
Over in Champions Gate?
Mm-hmm. And
did it take you 3 hours to get there?
Well, where I live now, I can take the 429. I get there in a jiffy. So no, it did not. But it was a beer that I hadn't seen before, but one that I loved. And with Memorial Day coming up, thought that we would do. And it's going to be a two-parter today because we have a lager and an IPA. First up, we'll do the lager, but it's from armedforcesbrewing.com. Well, it's just, sorry. We're off to a great start. Armed Forces Brewing Company, but it's Armed Forces Brewing Co.com is the site. Very slick site, very, very cool site if you head over there. And we are going to be doing the Cat Shot. It's an American craft lager. So, Ron, there you go.
Love it. So we got two lagers to kick the pot off.
Yeah, and kind of, like I said, we're going to do one here at the half. It's going to be an IPA, but with Memorial Day coming up, and all of the men and women that have served, are serving, have fought, have died, have put everything they can into this great country of ours, we thank you. And this is a beer for a good cause. And on their site, they have a who we are, and I'm going to read this in full. Armed Forces Brewing Company is a military tribute craft brewing company that pays homage to our great American military, both active duty and veterans. Built by an experienced team that combines an award-winning brewmaster, successful veterans of the restaurant and hospitality industry, and military veterans, including one of the most famous U.S. Navy SEALs in the world. Armed Forces Brewing Company is available in stores in a few states and in 36 states by online mail ordering and shipping. I'll give you those dates here in a second. We are ready to start expansion into national and global distribution. We aren't a local craft beer. Armed Forces Brewing Company plans to mass scale over time, and our beer is already approved for distribution into military exchange stores, HEB stores in Texas, Winn-Dixie, and Walmart and Sam's Club in 2023. We plan to employ at least 70% of our workforce company-wide from America's talented pool of military veterans. From there, it goes into the meet the team, the management, and whatnot. And I believe I found that famous Navy SEAL they were talking about. Director and advisor Robert J. O'Neill is on the Armed Forces Brewing Company's board of directors. He is one of the most highly decorated combat veterans of our time, a former U.S. Navy SEAL, and who's combat leader for the infamous SEAL Team 6. Robert is also highly sought after global public speaker, social media influence, and best-selling author of the book, The Operator, Firing the Shots That Killed Osama bin Laden in My Years as a Navy SEAL Warrior. Since leaving active duty, O'Neill is also the founder of the Special Operations Transition Foundation, which provides individualized transition support for special operation heroes and families. They are located. You can get their beer. Obviously, here in Florida is one of the places, which is where we got it. Alabama, Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Ohio. But as they said, they are expanding, coming soon to Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Connecticut, New Jersey, and more in 2024. And this beer, as I said, is called Cat Shot. And when you go to their beer, it's kind of written out in a very military style, like you're almost viewing like a I don't know if they're like a dossier, like file of somebody. So it says beer type craft, American craft lager, 5.5 ABV, 18 on the old IBUs, as Ron would say, as you count at home. Malt, Continental Pilsner, Flaked Mayes, hops, Crystal Horizon, flavor profile, a touch of corn sweetness. And then I'll let you know what our second beer is when we get there.
I love it. That can is cool looking.
Yeah. The art's really cool.
Shall we, boys?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Give her a pour.
Hopefully this doesn't explode as we were having technical difficulties. My beer's been warming up over here. It was smart to open this with a paper towel.
Smells like a lager.
Good clean color.
Mm-hmm. Smells like one.
Bit of head retention on
looks
there.
like one. Already off to a good start.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cilantro, boys. To the 2023-24 Premier League season.
Good God, that's a good Pilsner. Woo!
Okay.
That's quality
This
lager.
is kind of keeping with the style of lager, except I would say that it's slightly on the malt heavy side, and it is much less bitter in the finish than you expect from a lager.
Yep. A touch of corn sweetness was their flavor profile. I can definitely taste a little bit of that. That's probably from what you're saying, Ron, the more that malt side of things.
Tasty though. I like it.
Yeah, just a clean, simple lager. Well done.
Yeah, this one's definitely like a very classic Czech German style vibe, which is obviously exactly what they're going for. I'll have to get more from these dudes at New Park. Well, gentlemen, do we have a Ray Hudson ceremonial quote to kick off our
yes, we do.
23-24 Premier League wrap-up?
So we do, and I thought this was just a very entertaining quote about Gateshead FC, who won the FA trophy. Ray Hudson tweeted, whatever it's called. And his quote is, "You lads were cooler than a polar bear's arse during the PKs and had more punch than a bucket full of knuckles."
That's a good one.
I like that one.
I love it.
I don't know if
I love that he does those quotes on Twitter X now.
It's now officially just changed to x.com. That place sucks now. Hey, I'm going to get us on Blue Sky. I'm digging that so far.
Yeah, what was it, 2 months back? Blake throws that out like randomly on like a Tuesday morning or something. Like Ron and I are probably heading into work. You're probably heading to work. And he's like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna get us on this Blue Sky." And we're like, I think both Ron and I were like, we responded like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
You were jazzed about it, man.
I am kind of jazzed because like I follow like a bunch of like my Twitter feed is all like comic book writers, like novel writers and soccer, right? And like Blue Sky was so new, it didn't really have a lot of soccer yet, but it's picking up and going there. And I was like, well, maybe we'll get us on there while it's still kicking off. But Mr. Neil Gaiman, the writer of Sandman and Good Omen, he's very fun on there, and he'll chat back with you. So far, I'm liking it. We'll see. It's also kind of nice to have some social media just suck lately, like Twitter and Facebook, so I don't use it. Get a little, you know.
I can't tell you the last time I posted.
I mean, speaking of Blue Sky,
I love it for this because people can find us in theory, but yeah. So yeah. What Ferris said, yeah.
You were trying to avoid.
It's once again. Well, you know what? This is going to be how my question about this. It's once again Manchester City who overtook Arsenal this time by not but 2 points to win their 8th overall and 4th in a row Premier League title, something that's never been done before. Gentlemen, can I pose the question that isn't written on here?
Sure,
because I need a little help. Obviously, this is coming from an Arsenal fan.
Sure,
but I find myself in a spot where. Like, I didn't even care. I don't mean about Arsenal not winning. Don't like walking away champions. I'm not saying that. I just mean like, and their 4th time. And I'm like, well, I guess I feel that way because, I mean, I would rather it have been Arsenal, right? We were running for it. Even though for the last few weeks, it seemed like that's probably not going to be a reality. So, but then I go on these social medias that we have just been talking about. And dude, nobody other than the official, like the Mirror or NBC Soccer, nobody, normal fans, I just don't see them. Could you imagine if this was Chelsea's 4th in a row or Man United's 4th in a row? Like wall to wall explosion. And I'm just saying the social media buzz wasn't. I just don't. Shouldn't people be freaking out about this? And does this go back to the asterisks of a season because the 115 hangs over everything?
Exactly. It is and even over here, NBC's commentary said it there. at one point after the initial celebrations and handed the trophy. Everybody walks up and shakes hands and does all that. But it's that cloud. It's that cloud that's just kind of looming. That if you followed the game, if you're a supporter of any club, if you're a Premier League fan, you know that there's 114. That's not like saying there are 115. Apologies, Ron, you're correct. It's not like saying that there's 5 charges. At 115, your mind automatically thinks, oh, well, there's no way they're going to be clear of all of them.
Like, you got to at least get busted on 2 of them, right?
Like, the odds alone will tell you that they might get busted on a handful. Maybe it's one but one's bound to stick. So is 4? Yes, the players on the pitch, Pep, they deserve it. But going from the financial side of things on how they gain some of these things and the advertisement and the pump of sponsors and that sort of thing, did this help to build this team that just won 4 in a row? You know, it's like something like 6 or 7. It's 6 under Pep. So 6 under, I think it's 6 under them, probably 8th under what, or maybe it's 7 under what the Saudi group, the Sheikh man, whoever owns them.
Sheikh Mansour.
Right. It's 7 under them, right? So like these 8 that they've gotten in their lifetime have been, 7 of them have been since this group came in and splurged in the cash and done whatever they've done to accumulate 114 charges. So that while
15.
it's a remarkable thing, and this is, and I don't know if this is just in top flight in general 4 times in a row, or what did you say? Sorry.
Well, as of 115, you keep saying 114.
I keep saying 114. I don't know why 115.
Don't give him that one back.
You're damn right, Blake. Apologies. But I think that's what it is. It's the cloud, right?
Right.
There's also some other storylines in terms of Bayern Leverkusen and what they did that are a bit bigger in terms of the global football. In terms of the Premier League, everybody kind of went, we kind of expected this. Oh, it's their 4th. Oh, yeah, and they still have 115 charges against them.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine a world where it's Liverpool that's done that. I'll take any of our clubs out of it. Liverpool just does 4 in a row. I just think they go banana. It just, you know what I mean? The coverage, the greatest team ever created, blah, 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 blah. And I just, it is weird to me. And that tweet that they put out of Once in a Blue Moon, where the players are sitting on the moon putting a 4th flag down, and then that Arse blog, or Gunner blog, or which one it was, shared it and just said no atmosphere. It's like, oh my God, brilliant. But
I think there's also this sense of inevitability that's also part of it. Everyone knows that Man City really put the pedal down after Boxing Day, right? And so there's all these asterisks and all this other stuff, but then there's this massive sense of inevitability of, well, they're going to win, Arsenal's not, or whomever's not, so whatever.
Even if pundits aren't saying exactly what you just said, Ron, when they interview and say, all right, gentlemen, what's your top picks of managers of the year? It's Unai Emery and Arteta is who they're all saying. They're not saying Pep, who just won his 4th. Wouldn't you think that's what would be happening?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have heard pundits applauding, especially from The Athletic. I've heard a lot of opinion that is basically like, look, there is 115 charges, but what Pep is doing with this group of players is absolutely brilliant for how consistent they're being, right? So, because the charges don't really relate to the players in so much that there's not, well, at the moment, we don't know about anything like doping or anything else,
right.
But the achievement that this group of players and this manager have accomplished is pretty remarkable, all things considered.
Yeah, and just the turnover of players, how Pep kind of adapts to the season and to the games, all of that is pure, just knowledge of the game and experience in the game, and that killer mentality that they have. And same with the players. It's the financial stuff revolved around how this team was built, right? The office people in suits behind the scenes on how that's kind of gone about. And it's also a cloud, and we're not really going, this is the greatest team ever. I mean, you're seeing that, but you're not, to Blake's point, it's not like being spurted out of every hole and orifice and mouth and everything. You're just not, oh my God, this is amazing. Because we don't know still. We don't know what the outcome is. Had this been 115 charges, 30 of them, hit, and they've already been dealt their blow, and now they win again, then we go, okay, we don't really have anything to back it on now. Like they did the time, they did the crime, whatever, however that saying is, and now we've moved on for it. But it's still sitting there because we don't know what that outcome's going to be. So it's like, yeah, you've won 4 in a row, but also those 115 charges are over the span of 2008, 2009, 2013, 2015, 2016, all of these years that have helped to build where they're at. So it's like, is it real? Is it not? Is it, what's going on here? So yeah, we can applaud them. Hey, great job. You did it again. The players, Phil Foden and Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland and Pep, all of them, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You did it again. But were you set up to do it again on some means that weren't in line with what the rules have been?
Yeah. Real quick, in May, the Premier League released the breakdown of charges. 54 failure to provide accurate financial information from 2009 to 2018. 14 failure to provide accurate details for player and manager payments, 2009 to 2018. 5 failures to comply to UEFA's rules, including financial fair play. I'm not sure how the Premier League is allowed to go after that, but maybe they are. 7 breaching the Premier League's PSR rules, which are 2015 to 2018. 35 failure to cooperate with the Premier League investigation, 2018 to 2023. That also includes things like lying, conspiracy, racketeering, bribery, and a few others. So that's not small.
And based on the PSR stuff that we've already seen, which of course all 115 aren't, but some of them are PSR stuff.
Yeah.
We know there's, like you said, Ferris, I mean, there's going to be a handful. I joked and said a couple, but I mean, you figure a dozen would probably stick, because I think if a dozen don't, the Premier League looks like idiots, right? I mean, it would.
But that's why they're taking so long. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And
provide an airtight case. Or it's a sham from here on after, right?
It just sucks, and I think I said this in one of the last episodes. I just wish, I just wish they could have hauled butt to do something faster, because it does make it so that it feels like this year has such an asterisk over it. Even though it was popping out last year, it's just, man, it just, well, you know what? It's because of the point deductions that Nottingham and Everton faced, because those moments happened.
It's been on everyone's mind.
Yes, it is on everybody's mind. Last year it was like, oh, well, what's going to happen? But yeah, you actually have points deductions, and even though, as Ron has pointed out, in his breakdown of it, like it's not apples to apples, but it doesn't matter. It's on everybody's mind. So just sucks, because it should be a wild achievement everyone's freaking out about, and they just aren't. It's a very weird feeling.
Something that Ron and I talked about on that final day too is from the other side of things. Is this a bottle job again by Arsenal?
Oh God, I was waiting for you to say that, you jackass. All right, go ahead.
Hold on, give me a bloody second. But
well, how would you say bottle job by Arsenal and not a bottle job by Liverpool?
Well, it'd be both, really.
It'd be both, absolutely. And I think to a small degree it is, but nowhere near what it was last season. To get within 2 points, only losing one game in the Premier League, in the last, I think since maybe the turn of the year in the Premier League, where City didn't lose since the turn of the year, so just all these things that Arsenal really pushed them to that end point, to the final game. It's only 2 points opposed to, 5 last season. Arsenal had a much heavier lead last season. This was kind of, there's always that game in hand, and they were always within 5 to 7 points. That lead was up to 13, 15 points last season. I still get to share the picture of Arteta, the drop in the thing that says for the 18th time in a row, Arsenal have failed to win the league after Christmas when they held the lead.
Right.
So I still get to share that. But to be honest with you, I don't think it's as much of a bottle job, because there's a bit of that, Man City did it again. Everybody kind of knew, oh crap, there it is. And there's this 115 charges. So did the,
a lot of where
are good. They, all of that, but that's still hanging there, and seemingly what Arsenal have done is, yes, they've spent, right? That's what Liverpool has. I think there was some stat that in the past several years, 700 billion have been spent. And yet Liverpool's the only one to have nicked the title here in the last 5 years over, this team. So it's not easy to do and to build these teams.
Well, I was going to say, like the pundits, a lot of times when they ask, so who's your top manager and why, the ones that do, a lot split between Unai Emery and Arteta. And to be fair, more for Unai Emery, because, gosh, that's what a turnaround, right? 16th place last year or whatever, when he came in. But Arteta, a lot of them are going, well, man, look what Arteta did. And even though it's insane to say this, a club that spends 90 million plus on Declan Rice and spends a lot of money, they're like, yeah, compared to what Man City throws out for money, like, that's amazing. Which is insane to say, because Arsenal has thrown out some big money, but everyone's like, yeah, but it's not Man City money.
Well, it's not Man City money over the period of time on how they've been able to buy all these players. Jack Grealish was only the one in the past few years that was over 100 mil, similar to Declan Rice and a few others out there. Good for City. I'm gonna say good for Pep and good for those players. We are all just waiting on pins and needles, though, to see how because it's always that great job, but that's still there.
It just sucks.
And it's hard to go away from that.
Yeah, it just sucks. That's hanging over it like a cloud.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even be like, so close. That sucks. Someone's like, yeah, man, but those 115. You're like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't even like come close and lose. And it's just a weird feeling. It's just weird, and I hate it. And it probably won't get wrapped up until after next season.
Like they were saying, 2025.
Yeah,
at the earliest.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of different depositions and trials and court hearings, and then there'll be the appeals. So
yeah,
going to be.
But I mean, look, would I rather win the championship? Yes, but Arsenal, best defense in the league. They tie on goal differential with effing Man City, 89 points to 91. That's pretty good. And what's Arteta? Is it year 5? What's he at now? And a good run in the Champions League. Almost made it to semifinals. So I'll take it after not having been there for a very long time. I'll take it.
So what'd the table end up looking like then?
Well, let's do that so we can talk about your clubs for a change. It's going to take a while before I get to Ferris's, though. So, as we said, Man City, 62 goal differential. They win with 91 points. Arsenal, 62 goal differential tie, and then come in 89 points in second. Third, Liverpool, 82nd. 45 goal differential. That's a pretty hefty one between second and third place. They have 82 points. Liverpool in third, and then it really drops to 68 at fourth with Aston Villa. We'll talk about them in a minute, though. That is not a knock on Aston Villa. There's a hefty separation there. Then we've got Tottenham at 66, and then comeback of the season in the. What do we call that thing? The minor league European competition. What is that one called?
Well, they could either play in Conference League,
that's that
or
one.
Europa League, depending on how the FA Cup turns out.
Oh, fair enough. This is true. So still hangs in the balance. Regardless, though, Chelsea managed to salvage the season turnaround. Friggin', they're in Europe, either the Europa or the conference.
Yep.
And well done, Pochettino. Look forward to see what he does next year. Moving on. God, we'll get to that, I'm sure. Jeez.
And they were on 63 points.
And they were 63 points. Thank you. Newcastle United, 60 points at 7th. Manchester on 8th. In 8th place on 60 points as well. Here's the other big drop. Newcastle United, 23 goal differential. In 8th, Manchester United, -1 with 60 points. And I think everyone's in negatives all the way down. Impressive West Ham United is in 9th at -14 because they do manage to get 52 points. Crystal Palace at 49 and 10th. 11th is Brighton Hove and Albion with 48. Bournemouth at 12th with 48. Fulham in 13th with 47. The Wolves come in 14th with 46. Everton in 15th with 40 points, which should be 48 actually, right? If they didn't, how many did they? Yeah, 8 points. So they could have been a little higher. Brentford in 16th with 39 points. Nottingham Forest squeak it through, safe at 32 points. That's a low one to be safe on. Luton Town, they get relegated in 18th at 26 points. Burnley, they get relegated at 19th at 24 points, but somehow their manager might end up coaching Bayern Munich. Good
Yeah, right.
God, football is so weird. We got to get
Bonkers.
Pochettino's out, but we'll take this dude who just got relegated into Bayern. Sheffield United at 16 points rounds things out at 20th place with a goal differential of -69. Nice. God, that's brutal. I don't know that's a brutal goal differential. Woof. Woof.
Oh.
Is that in the things to talk about? Can we just
What?
forgive me, the Pochettino conversation, is that in?
We'll get there. Don't
All
you
right.
worry.
But
It's in our 2-minute drill here.
company's not in that, is he?
No.
Yeah, I don't think
That's
no. We can talk about it.
Insane that he is up for talks for Bayern Munich.
And he's got no pedigree to
Listen,
discuss.
He
No managing.
you
or
forget he
coaching.
did win a league. He has won a league before
He did.
What? What do you mean, as a player?
as a manager.
Yeah, but
Where
where
was
was
a
that?
championship?
Yeah.
Hey, look, man.
Exactly.
That's a top 10 league in the world. If not, it beats the French league out. Top to bottom, more competitive. Absolutely.
He has no. Well, so he goes to Bayern Munich,
I'm
and
not
they
saying
go to.
I'm playing devil's advocate. Here.
Yeah, and it's dumb.
Listen,
got
there
zero
might
pedigree.
be
Zero
an
pedigree.
inkling there. You can't do any worse than all the other Bayern managers have done as of
Yes,
as
he
of
could.
recent.
Yes, he could.
Hey, look.
There you-
My uncle won a championship coaching Little League Baseball. The Yankees ain't knocking down his door.
Sign them up, baby.
I don't see how that works. That's just bonkers. But I'm
Well, to be honest, it's a good time to be a manager who's out of work.
oh,
Right? All the
oh.
clubs that are.
I hope to God Pochettino was really like, I'm out, dudes. You want to say it's mutual? I'm out, because he could go get a good job now. I hope for him.
We'll
that's
discuss it.
May he go to Man United and no trophies reign. All right. Shall we move on to our 2-minute drill?
Let's do it.
Sure.
All right. Gotta love it. Here is Ferris dropping the 2-minute drill, so we only get 2 minutes to talk about Jurgen Klopp. Ferris, you terrible person, you. Klopp said goodbye to the Liverpool faithful at Anfield, which was an afternoon full of smiles and tears. How much are we going to miss that smiling, laughing German with perfect veneers? I mean, as long as he keeps putting up videos of him dancing in clubs, I'll stay happy. But it's going to suck to have that dude not here anymore.
Did you guys watch the post game, kind of farewell? I, as a person who doesn't honestly give a rat's ass about Liverpool, sorry, Tony, but I really enjoy Klopp. I was slightly teary-eyed when he was running to the four sides of the stadium, waving his hand so that they would cheer on his fist bumps.
Oh, yeah, man.
He's a great manager.
And
Not because who cares about Liverpool, really? But
wearing like the homemade sweatshirt or whatever
Yeah.
that he got. Yeah, like
it was just so cool.
yeah, he goes out in a high. I mean, God, would have been awesome if they had won. Yes, I would rather them have won than Man City any day of the week. I think I would have taken Arsenal in third place and Liverpool winning over Man City winning again. But man, he goes out on a high again. God, I don't mean to be that guy. But here's a dude that lost, and people are talking about him more than they are Pep. who just got the 4th in a row. That's all I'm saying. This whole thing has made the conversations very strange. On paper,
How fast is a statue up outside of Anfield?
I mean, shouldn't it be like being installed yesterday?
Right.
With big old teeth, just smiling, holding a big old German liter of beer.
Have you guys seen the pictures comparing him from the day he took office to the day he left, and how stressed and tired he looked?
Mm-hmm.
I felt bad for him.
It's like the pictures they do of the president after like their first term or whatever. Yeah.
First 100 days, right?
Now, from where that club was to where he brought them, absolutely deserved. And Klopp is a brilliant, legendary manager.
I think we'll miss the personality, but we'll be glad he's not coaching against our teams anymore.
Yeah.
Take it back at Dortmund, though. Aston Villa solidify their Champions League place for Villa Park next season despite a drubbing on the last day. Mr. Matt Call, your Panthers in the Eastern Conference final of the NHL, and Villa playing Champions League ball there at Villa Park next year. How about them Villa Apples? What a season, eh?
Man, like, look, as an Arsenal fan, I'm so stoked to see Arteta vindicated. But I think if you ask me for manager of the season, I would say it's Unai Emery. To come in when he did, and that club's in 16th and do what he did, amazing.
Yeah. I mean, they had a solid season. They dipped here and there, but were always able to pick themselves up. They managed to get results through some crucial injuries.
And playing in Europa Conference League, which they went far in as well.
Yeah. So solid showing from that lot. It'll be interesting to see how they do with Champions League next year, and
it'll be interesting not only to see how they do with that next year coming in. They did okay. Obviously, they did okay with the Europa Conference League. More interesting, the type of players they're going to bring into Villa Park. You know, are they going to sell an Ollie? Are they not? Are they going to add to that? Are they going to add to complement him? What kind of players are they going to bring in? Are they going to be those top tier that want to play in Champions League ball?
You know what helps is being in Champions League. You got that money.
Absolutely, it helps, but that doesn't always guarantee that you're going to bring in those top players or the right players. Look at like a Newcastle this season, seemingly brought in the right players. Now, one still hasn't played and is banned for the entire season because of gambling, and then a host of injuries for them. Did not do well. Who knows what that is? So let's see who comes in the offseason. They brought in a Diaby last season, and they had some things already going, but that's going to be more. It's going to be more interesting to see it in the offseason is how they kind of retool and add depth to that squad, which they will need going into Champions League next year.
You know what is almost a guarantee that they're going to get quality people? Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
2 London clubs return to European competition for next season. Tottenham and Chelsea. In Ange Ball we trust. And no Poch, no problem. Since there's 2 clubs, we'll get a total of 4 minutes. But this is what we can say about Tottenham. Next. What?
No, Tottenham, since you're going to do all Chelsea, I'll give them 30 seconds. I don't think that Ange Ball is going to keep working. I said it earlier. I think if he doesn't adjust some, he's there in trouble.
We'll see. Can he make it through Christmas next season? Would be the thing, because he got a little ornery here at the end of the season. So, Blake, you might be onto something. There's our 30 seconds to Chelsea.
What in the is happening?
Mind-boggling. That's part of it too. We stopped talking about Man City because Chelsea fired Poch, who got him up into 6th and looked like they were building something.
Well, they don't remember
hours after the end of the season.
And Thomas Tuchel was canned after winning the friggin' Champions League.
What? But yes, things towards the end, Poch was making these little comments here and there, and he wasn't really agreeing with the board. But then again, who does with Bowley? And you're back and forth. So then the reports are that he went into like the end of season review. So you sit it down at a table and it's them and it's you and you talk, oh, how'd the season go and blah blah blah, where are we going next? And
That's not actually what happened.
but it's something similar. And then it just seemed like they both kind of were like, no, listen, I don't agree with you, you don't agree with me, all right, deuces.
So I think the smarter thing to have done was let Poch finish out his contract and then not renew it if you didn't like him.
He didn't even make a year though.
Yeah, it was less than
a year.
It was less than 10 months.
So does the mutual consent mean that they don't have to worry about the PSR with it, the financial?
No, they'll have to pay him.
Mm.
So in my opinion, they should have let him finish the next season so that the team gets who was finally showing some confidence, showing some style, some personality, some chemistry. Let those folks settle in another year before you upset the apple cart again. Gentlemen, last year, remember, this team faced 3 different managers. So they had another manager for a year, and then they're going to upset the whole apple cart again. Now, there's reports coming out that Poch was saying, look, if you want me to be the manager, I want these handful of things, like a say in recruitment and a few other things that he thinks a manager should have, a say in. And essentially the club went, nah. And so
with nothing
Poch,
to back
in
up.
my opinion, and Poch, in my opinion, was right for going, well, then if you're not going to allow me to have some control over the things that you're asking me to do, then I don't want to be here. And then the conscious uncoupling happens, right? But it doesn't seem like the club wants a manager to be a manager. I think the club wants someone who's going to show up, not ask questions, and just deal with the circumstances they're given. And then if they don't make it in the Champions League, they're going to get crowned. But the interesting thing is, okay, so you fire him now. You're going to bring in another manager who's going to take, well, let's go back. Poch took over. He took about half the season to figure out what in the hell he had, and then half a season to kind of help right the ship. That was the season for Poch. Now a new manager is going to come in, and they're going to have to do the same thing, except they'll have no say in what transfers come in and out, who gets sold, what gets sold, when. They're just going to be handed a pile of players and say, make something.
Man, I just saw it put in a way with what you're saying, Ron, when you see the numbers together. This is from Sky Sports. With other clubs such as Arsenal under Mikel Arteta and Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, they have built their squads incrementally. Chelsea tried to fast track the process, and I just guess I hadn't seen it written this way, cramming 32 signings into 4 windows.
Yeah.
Holy crap, I knew it was a lot. That's wild to see that.
Yeah. And now they're going to end up trying to, because they are going to have to make financial fair play and PSR. One, they have to still pay Poch and his team of managers and backroom staff to the tune of around $6 million. Well, that loss has to go somewhere. So they're going to either have to sell players, and who are they going to sell for profit? Either Trevor Chalobah, who was probably our best defensive person all season, and they're going to end up trying to sell Conor Gallagher, who was arguably our second best player, but our player with the most heart that wants to play for the badge. So you're gonna sell them, and your reward for getting us to 6th is that we're canning you.
Well, and seeing
what
some
does
of
that show to the other players?
Exactly. And like seeing some of the stats on this thing are actually kind of wild because yes, there's some big swings up and down, but it's a constant like goals and going up the whole way, right? It's like the stock market, blow it out a little bit, right? And you see it going up. And plus, like Pochettino ostensibly is hired to, I would think, develop these young players because that's what he has been good at in the past. And look what he's done for like folks like Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
And
Conor Gallagher, who became a linchpin in his system. Conor Gallagher started 55 matches this year. Not even close was any other player. And we're going to end up having to sell him and or Trevor Chalobah to make financial fair play, while Chelsea as a club sells hotels, restaurants, and land out from the club to Bowley and Clear Lake's other private entities, which, I don't know, maybe you heard it here first. Are they selling the club for parts?
Well,
and putting it under the guise of we have to make PSR?
It's wild because I know you had a bit of a leaky defense for quite a bit, but like if we want to get a little expected goals in this stat, gentlemen, since we brought that up in our last pod, Chelsea came in fourth in expected goal difference table, which is the expected goal difference minus the goals you conceded. They still came in fourth. Arsenal first, Man City, Liverpool, then Chelsea. I mean, that's progress right there, man. Like that's it's absolutely bizarre. Ferris, I saw that news break and I went, well, there goes our Premier League wrap up. I mean, that's like this is like
it could take the entire
thing. We went 3 minutes over.
But you know what? He gone.
Does that count her first manager fired for 24-25? How does that work?
No.
Here we go.
Man United finished in their worst ever Premier League position in 8th.
I love that you wrote a stage direction for yourself that says audible groan from Ferris so you wouldn't forget.
Yeah. In case I forgot, right?
Oh my God.
Blake said it. We finished -1 first time ever in negative, finishing at the table. I don't even know. You can look at the stats. Terrible season. Still top half of the table. Why are you complaining? Yada, yada. Yeah, fair. We're still playing in the FA Cup final this coming Saturday for a chance to even, we didn't make Europe right here, but we could play in the Europa League. If we win, we go Europa League. Chelsea go Conference League. If we lose, we don't go anywhere. We stay where we're at. And I really don't want to play in the Conference League. Yes, it's weird saying I'm playing Europe at all, but I would rather not. But just a crap season, from injuries to poor play to storylines revolving around Greenwood, Antony, Ten Hag, new ownership, Sancho, absolutely. You can go on and on. It's just an absolutely horrible season all around. The new ownership, seeing their first summer, their first real off season can do is interesting. It is what it is. Terrible season, a lot of injuries.
You'll see how things go when you have Pochettino next year.
I said it. I said it in the text. I'm okay with Poch. Now here's my stance on Ten Hag. I hope he stays because I don't want exactly what kind of Ron's talking about, that revolving door of managers. We're not going to really start anything. He had so many injuries this season. His second season, did he overshoot in his first season? Yeah. Probably did. Third in the Premier League, winner of the Chupacabra Cup, and went to the FA Cup. Back-to-back FA Cup finals for him, though. So he takes these tournaments seriously. Just a lot playing against him in this. Plus, new ownership kind of comes in to run the soccer things, right? It's only 25%, but they're running the soccer operations of things. Everybody's on pins and needles there. We talked about that on last pods. But I do want Ten Hag to stay. So I want him to get a third season and see what we get. But if they make the change, there's only a few names that I would even consider that I would go, okay, I get that. And Poch would be one of those few names. I've always liked Poch, and they were even going for him. Was it prior to Ole? Was it prior to Ole or during Ole's time it was talked about? One of those times. So I'd be okay with him.
Ron,
doing?
Ron, we need to make like some kind of weird bet that's like Poch to Man United.
Oh.
Ten Hag. Wait. Yeah, Poch to Man United. Tuchel comes to Spurs. No, not Spurs. He'll go to Chelsea. Yes, is Tuchel back to Chelsea? Ten Hag doesn't go to Bayern. If he goes to Man, like it's such.
No, listen. Hey,
I mean, I think Poch goes to Man United. Tuchel goes to Brighton Hove and Albion. De Zerbi go to Chelsea. Right? Like it's just going to be this,
cycle of managers.
Yeah,
right.
Sure. Listen,
and companies and hanging out in Germany with Bayern Munich.
well, what I can be proud of, and we've already won, or at least I've already won, early in the season, pre-Christmas fixtures, all of that. You guys were goading me to make a bet with Ron. Oh, you guys are going to finish above Chelsea. You have to. Come on, you got to do the bet beer. Oh, come on, you got to. And I went, no.
You could have made this season.
Like, United's that bad. And I am so glad that I stuck to my guns there because Chelsea finished above Man United.
Ferris wouldn't do it for the content. All right, Crystal Palace remarkably finish in the top 10. Woo, what a job they have done at the end of the season. Can they keep all their star players this off season?
That's gonna be a struggle.
That's tough.
As a Mateta Mateta and I'm forgetting one. Michael Elise, who's actually a Man United target. That front three absolutely just devastated teams in the last 10 games here.
And they're going to get a lot of money for them, I think. I think they're getting a lot of money for them.
They can. Yeah, they absolutely can. Wharton going into midfield there. Just what a job Oliver Glasner did. They were fighting for relegation, kind of, with Roy, but then comes in and really propels them up, and a top 10 finish them wasn't even really thought about. And that's a hell of a season. They beat Villa 5-0 on the last day, and that went along with other 3-0s, 4-0s, 2-0s against Cities and Wolves and whoever else that they played. I don't remember everybody they played, but they tore through the table. Can they hang on to these players, and can they even add to it slightly? If they can, and if they can add to it slightly, can they push for Europe next season? We're really going to have to ask that and see where it comes at the end of the summer.
Can Crystal Palace play Man City on the last day of the season instead of West Ham? That's what we really need to see happen.
Everton and Nottingham both stay up despite the PSR point deductions. In the end, 8 points to Everton earned them 15th, and 4 points deduction to Forest make it 17th, just above the drop zone. What do we think, gents?
I think that couldn't have worked out better for the Premier League. I think if these clubs had been relegated with point deductions and Man City wins the league, it's even worse than the grumblings already are. So I actually think this worked out, obviously for these teams, but I think this worked out for the Premier League's favor.
Yeah, and I think what a job Sean Dyche did with Everton. Espirito Santo. Okay, you did okay with Forest there, but you didn't light it necessarily on fire, and we're lucky there were 3 really worse teams than you are, and it went down to the last 3 games where Luton robbed some points there. But yeah, I agree. The Premier League has to be kind of happy that this is the case, especially since there's those 115 charges that haven't done the team at the top of the table. But both taking those type of point deductions, Everton, mind you, that was 8 points. That was 2 times they got point deducted too.
Right.
So that they to do that and still finish where they did. Very good job by Sean Dyche there. As we've talked about on this pod, just an underrated manager in the league for years, but got the job done and kept them. Everton are one of 3 or 4 teams that have never been relegated out of the Premier League. And we bid farewell for now to Kenilworth Road as Luton, Burnley, and Billy Sharpless Sheffield United all are gone. Well, since they all went down, we're just going to give a minute to each of them. We're not going to give them 2 minutes each. We're just giving them 3, 2.5, maybe even 1.5. But, I mean, listen, when we do our predictions here, at least 2 of those teams were named in all of ours. So it's not really a surprise. Sheffield did not have the worst Premier League season in history. They were close. They were the third worst in Premier League history, but they were not the worst. Luton, they gave it a hell of a go there at the end. They just couldn't quite get it done.
The most upset I am about the fact that we had all decided that if Luton stayed up, we were all going to buy Luton kits. And I think that's the thing I'm most upset about.
Agreed.
I think you walk out of it going, man, sorry you got relegated, but Luton, what a season. But Burnley and Sheffield, dire, awful, just terrible.
And yet
one of them,
Bayern Munich legendary coach at the helm.
do you know when that rumor, and now it's gone from rumor to what's that guy, Fabio, who's like, oh, they're having talks, it looks like.
Fabian
Romero,
Fabio Romano.
Yeah, that
Maurizio Romano, or whatever. Yeah.
And they're like, oh man, it could be happening. You know that right now, soon as that popped, I mean, the biggest couple of Das boots in the world is Harry Kane sitting there drinking over in Germany. Like, what?
More importantly, can we all agree, Rob Edwards, the most handsomest manager in the Premier League?
Oh, I mean, for sure.
Hands down. Well done, Luton, just for that alone.
Should have given him an extra 4 points just for that.
Exactly.
Right.
All right, Ron. Well, that brings us to the halftime whistle. Whoops, I hit the wrong sound effect. Don't ignore that. There it goes. There's the halftime whistle. Now it's time for Ron's VAR, voluptuous stat padding, missed calls, who faked the ref's corner, for all the VAR news that's fit to make you drink.
And boy, are we, because we're going to do our second beer real quick before you get into it there.
Hit
Ron.
it.
All right, from Armed Forces Brewing Company, our second beer of the night, an IPA. Special hops. Think of the H, what do you get? Special ops.
Love it.
You'll see from the
thanks for
can art
spelling
there.
that out.
You're welcome. You'll see from the can art there, it has what looks like 3 seals that are coming out, and they're all set to go. But slick, and from their site, it states, all right, Special Ops, India Pale Ale, ABV 6.7%, 50 on the old IBUs, SRM is 5.5. Maris Otter Pale Malt, a blend of Azacca, Sentinel, and Simcoe hops. Oh, good ones. Flavor profile, citrus, peach, and mango. So, by all intents and purposes, should be a pretty darn good IPA.
A fruity IPA.
Yeah.
Shall we? Blake is typing madly over there.
Because guess what? We're going to talk VAR.
Yeah, do you know why? I'm typing madly to my wife going, any chance you could slink me my second Pilsner that's in the fridge while we're getting toward the end of the pod? That's what I have just done. I was like, you're probably in your office doing a little work. If that's the case, don't worry about it.
Good
Looks
head
good.
retention there. Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Nothing says VAR talk like a little booze.
I know. I just saw that second beer. I was like, oh gosh, I think I could go for my second.
Ooh, that's different.
It's quality.
That's quite different. Ferris, you got to take the pictures. All right.
Gotcha.
VAR. Here we go. Gentlemen, we all know it. We all love it. VAR. Who could possibly... Let's have a little look back over the season. How about these lovely memories? Arteta losing his ever-loving mind regarding the VAR and allowing the Newcastle goal to stand after checking 3 separate incidents in that one build-up to a goal. Crazy. Countless VAR controversies. Wolves versus Onana.
First game of the season.
Yeah. Liverpool v Spurs. The VAR audio being released for the very first time. And then who could forget? VAR is a Luton fan. The best. So, because VAR has been such a contentious addition to football this season, specifically kind of more than last season, or the number of incidents actually went down, but the calls were so egregious that it's worse. On May 15th, Wolverhampton Wanderers pulled their head out of the sand, looked around, and threw a big fat petition in front of the teams and the league for abolishing of VAR. The clubs are now required to have a discussion and a vote about the future of VAR. On June 6th, this voting takes place at the Premier League Forum. It's likely that Wolves will not get VAR abolished, but this starts a very specific conversation about the frailty of VAR in the system. So we should be getting some pretty interesting news, mid to end of June about what's going on with VAR.
And you really nailed that, Ron, with like earlier in previous pods talking about how other places do it better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
Thank God they're having this convo.
So here's some fun stats that I scrolled away so that we could chat about it. Gentlemen, VAR overturned a total of 110 calls this season. Only 2 of those were rejected by the ref who went to the monitor. So 108 overturned calls. 33 of those led to goals. Leading to disallowed goals were 50 of them. Penalties awarded based on VAR challenges, 28. Only 26 of those actually scored. Penalties for handball, only 6. For some reason, it felt like there'd have been more of those. But penalties for handball, only 6. Penalties total overturned, 12. Penalties retaken, 0. Penalty retakes because of encroachment, 0. Goals ruled out for offside, 32 goals this season. Goals awarded for incorrect offsides, 7. Goals ruled out for handball, 10. Goals allowed after wrong handball, 0. So that's a big one.
And what is handball?
Yeah, right?
Yes. I'll take that for 400, Alex.
Goals ruled out for build-up or a foul, 7. 3 of those had to have come from that Arsenal match. 13 red cards, only 1 overturned red card, and no penalty review due to a foul was a single one. So the VAR net score, right? Basically, who had the calls, who had which things go over, right?
So it takes like who basically profited the best from.
Not yet.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Right now, it's positive or negative judgments, how many went against you, not whether they were right or wrong.
Gotcha. So it's like expected judgments.
So I'll go through the list real quick. Fulham, 5 VAR calls. Nottingham Forest, 5.
See, hold on. Forest can't complain. 4-point deductions. They got a good VAR count there.
Man City, 4. Everton, +2. Brentford, +1. Brighton Hove Albion, +1. Burnley, 1. Arsenal starts the 0 crew. They were net 0.
Not even.
Liverpool, same. Newcastle, same. AFC Bournemouth, -1. Luton, -1. Tottenham, -1. Chelsea, -2. Crystal Palace, -2. Manchester United, a whopping -2. Sheffield United, 3. West Ham, 4. And Wolves, rounding out at -7.
Wolves got screwed this year. Like, Forest has no complaints. Wolves got absolutely lambasted this year on some calls. So that's not a surprise.
So here's the errors.
Okay.
Liverpool comes in at the top with 4 wrongful VAR decisions against them, followed up by Brighton Hove Albion and Wolverhampton Wanderers with 3 wrongful calls against them. Arsenal also with 3 wrong calls. Villa capitalize with 3 wrong calls going their way. So
that's how they got into the Champions League.
So they profited the most off of bad VAR calls. Arsenal, Manchester United, Newcastle, and Forest with 2 wrong calls that all went their way. Tony Scholes, who is the Premier League's chief football officer, said that the accuracy went for the VAR accuracy went from 82% last year to 96% this year.
Wait. So
Sorry. That's it. That's the audio.
Wait, I'm just going to take that out as a soundbite. You're telling me that 96% was great, but the 4% were like saying, oops, I meant $20, not 20 million.
I mean,
like the mistakes.
The 4% were a very large.
They count apart.
percentage.
We only sent out apologies 4 different times, so that only counts for 4%. So that's the only times we got it wrong.
But I mean, right? I mean, that's what there's like the ones that they were big.
Yeah.
I don't know if that what you're probably comparing that to is by the letter of the law or something to that extent on how they got there. But yes, to Blake's point, that the Liverpool Tottenham game, with that offside call, that's probably counts for probably 2% of that. Like it's a big gaffe in that, and wild some of these stats.
Yeah. So really, again, from a statistical standpoint, the accuracy was allegedly better this year than last year. However, the ones they up, I mean, they really up.
They went hard with it. Yep.
And that, gentlemen, is your fast look at how the VAR impacted our season.
Disgrace.
One thing I think that they should do. The referee, like they're kind of doing in MLS, and I'm actually enjoying it. After the VAR, the ref comes out and he says, we reviewed the previous play and X and X has happened. Penalty or offsides, no goal, or foul, here's your red card.
And WSL's doing that as well.
Now,
it is dramatically better.
Helps. Certainly helps.
Forgive me, Ron, because I'm sure you just said it in all the numbers you put out. But at the end of the day, was there a percentage for how high was the percentage of, it's good we did VAR because we fixed these so many things?
Well, they're saying 96% were correct.
Sorry. Wait, Ferris, does it make sense?
Say that again?
So how many, I guess what we're trying to figure out, how many things were overturned? Do the Wolves have an argument going, look, guys, if out of 100 things, only a couple get overturned, is it even worth having this? Like, is that like,
well, them from that net score alone, that they got screwed the most from it. And that's probably what they're looking at there.
Right.
And they're going, well, listen, hey, top of the table, Liverpool got screwed, the most out of the top 3. We can get a few of us on board with it. Maybe we do it. Now, I think the vote, and we'll talk more about it as it kind of happens, but it's a drastic one way or the other, right? It's A to Z to try to solve the problem, not going, okay, how do we take small steps to improving it? And maybe it takes A to Z because according to this, they got almost 100% of the calls correct. So maybe it takes that drastic change to realize you can't just go,
but because of the new rules,
throw 4% of it away and we're great.
But because the new rules with the clock, the games last much longer. It feels like, I think one of the stats we saw from the other leagues in Europe where they just aren't having to go to VAR as much. Premier League goes to VAR a lot.
Yeah, what they are reviewing is what the VAR can review is different. And VAR in a lot of other leagues does not tell the ref that they must go to the monitor. They say, we think this and this and this, and the referee, who in my opinion should be in charge of everything, says, all right, let me go look at the mirror or the monitor, right? And then they show them the video play from start to end. They don't start it on a freeze frame of the infraction happening, right? Because, You just see the infraction, but you have no context.
Right. Well, and that's actually a good point too. Like in one of the matches with some of the offsides, it was, hey, because of how these things film at 24 frames a second or whatever, like you might actually have this call wrong because the technology can't show you the moment of the actual. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
they should be filming it at like 60 frames, not 24.
Ron, we have a budget. This league only makes so much money. We got a budget.
That's fair. They're paying for Hawkeye, so.
But it does. So I mean, I'm curious to know, and I think Ferris, you said little steps. I think what Wolves are really doing here is I don't think they think this will get overturned, but if they have these conversations while the big clubs also got hosed, it makes progress push forward.
They're just trying to create a dialogue, and the only way they'll do that is by doing something drastic.
And I said, Nottingham Wolves have the most to complain about, but remember, Nottingham's the one that hired Mark Clattenburg as like an advisor that sat with them for majority of the league to try to help them understand or fight against it when they were wronged on these things, and then ended up stepping down, mutual
those guys
whatever.
Were a bunch
so like
of knuckleheads all season.
What could go wrong?
Right. It was just like it was these teams. Everybody's just trying to go against VAR, and now Wolves is just trying to lead the march in that after what seemingly VAR was on our mind a lot in the season, and it was.
I don't want VAR to go away. I want it to be refined and become a useful tool.
Right. Although I am tell you what, if it doesn't get any better over a year and two, I think I go into the just axe it camp at this point. If you can't do it now, just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Like, come on.
Just go back to the way it was done in the World Cup.
Yes.
Was that Germany or Russia?
It was the Women's World Cup first, and then we saw it in the men's. I think Russia. That sounds right. And it was done pretty well.
Positively brilliant.
Yeah.
Anyway, VAR. I'm sure we'll be talking about it a little bit in the next couple of months, and then arguing about it next season.
It made me get some more beer, and there's our whistle. All right, gentlemen, is it time to move us over to the bestest of the season? Just like our very first pod back in the heady days of 2016, as we huddled around one mic with three different, a Guinness, a Pacifico, and what did you have, Ron?
Allagash White?
Allagash.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. What a trifecta to kick off the show with. God, that's great. We will each give you our tres momentos, our 3 moments of the 3 moments of the season, our best game of the season, best goal of the season, best player of the season, and our best player of the season for your club. Gents, we probably should have said who wants to go first. You wants that I should go first, and then we'll go me, Ron, Ferris, and then we'll switch it around.
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay, so top 3 moments. This is another of those things. Did we say we were going to do all 3 or one at a time? One at a time?
Just do all 3.
Do all 3.
Okay. So some things, and this might happen with you guys, are probably going to be things that might have already been talked about a little bit. So, okay. It's tough. I wrote down several in case we would talk about them, and we talked about a lot of them. So I was
just do your damn 3.
So I'll do my 3. No, I know, but I'm saying, so I'll do the top 3 that I had. I just hate to do this coming off of Ron's beer news, but I had one of the top VAR not overturning the offsides against Liverpool's Luis Diaz in the 34th minute goal against Tottenham. Miscommunication between VAR and on-pitch officials. It set a tone for the season. That is pretty much what Ron just addressed for VAR. As well as, I love that until they almost had to release the audio from that one, because some comedians had released audio that sounded so accurate to what happened that people were convinced it was real because they didn't go overboard. I mean, when you listen to it now, you're like, okay, I get it. But like, it seemed completely plausible listening to it. And they knew they were becoming a joke. And so they released the audio for the first time. So I think that is huge. I'll call that a top 3 moment of the next 5 years, because I think that will be the thing that leads to when we look back in 5 years and say, well, VAR has come a long way. I think that's going to be a big one. My
dramatic emphasis. Connection unstable.
Yeah. Oh, no, you still got me, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just transported to 5 years down the road with that.
Okay, excellent. Well, here we go. So I recorded on my end, so they all heard what I said. I just think this is going to be an important one. I was saying 5 years down the road as well when we see how much VAR has changed. I think this was a big one. Turning moment. And then the other one I have, God, these are bummers though, and I kind of hate that, but I think they're important to what's coming, and that's the 10-point deduction of Everton. That sucked the wind out of the season in a way that was just wild. And then it started it started the cloud that we talked about over everything. And it just, as much as I'm a positive person and I kind of hate to have a couple bummers in a row, I couldn't shake that 10-point deduction for my top 3 big moments. Well, let me give you a positive one. Can I end on a positive one?
Sure.
You guys know who Rebecca Welch is?
Yes. Yes. Heck yeah.
All right. That's right. The first woman, she was just before Christmas. She became the first female Premier League referee when she took charge of the Burnley match at Fulham. Head ref. Yes. Thank you. Came first head ref. Awesome. Rad. As Vincent Kompany, I believe, said in that game, he said something to the effect of, as good, it's nice that history was made. May it keep happening.
It may not be like a talking point from here on out because of the job that you did and how well it was done. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So those are my top 3s.
Very good, sir. Well done, lad.
Thank you.
All right. I had a hard time picking 2. I mean, Blake, as you pointed out, the Everton points deduction and subsequent appeal, Forest's point deduction and appeal being rejected, Roy Keane's scathing comments about Golden Boot winner Erling Haaland being a League 2 quality player, Klopp versus Salah. I mean, the year was rich.
Yes, it was.
I also picked the trailblazing Rebecca Welch as my as one of my moments of the season.
Very good. Yes, very good.
My second moment of the season was the craziest game of the season, in my opinion. The London Derby on November 6th, Chelsea v Spurs, with 2 red cards, 5 disallowed goals, 5 goals that were actually allowed. Win a Chelsea victory 4-1. Whew, that was nuts.
That's a good shout, to quote Ferris.
Yeah.
And the third is VAR audio being released on October 3rd.
Good one.
Spurs v London, incorrectly disallowing the Luis Diaz goal at Spurs. The first time we got to peek behind the curtain of the cacophony of insanity that is going on behind the scenes in VAR. That's a huge turning point.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
These are good ones.
Yeah, they were. Man, you guys do well. I went more towards the game, kind of. You know, I went more towards in-game stuff, moments that I had thought about. Now, 2 of these weren't even in Premier League competitions, but 3 out of the 4 clubs in these were. So my first one, who can forget Champions League football returning to Newcastle United? In that first game against PSG.
Yeah, the crowd.
How cool was that, man?
The white and black stadium.
It gives me chills. Like, how cool was that to watch that? That was absolute, to return after God knows how many years, and just the white and black flags going, and what a moment there at St. James Gate Park. Second one of the season, similar game. Kind of. 2 Premier League teams. FA Cup match between Manchester United and Liverpool on St. Patrick's Day. Wild. Yeah. 4-3 game, extra time, late goals, an Anthony goal, late goals. Old Trafford, that might be a very homer pick, but an absolute wild game.
Also good shouts.
And then the third. Our introduction to Kenilworth Road.
Yeah.
The much anticipated, remember, they couldn't play there for the first, several matches of the season. But how much the TV coverage, I think, did such a good job of like literally taking us into homes. The other side of the Premier League, right? You have your your Emirates stadiums, your Stamford Bridges, your Anfield, your
Theater
big,
of
your
Dreams.
your cathedrals of football. And then you have Kenilworth Road. You have to go through some lad's apartment to get to the press. But
And during
you're going to remember them for that. And then also their fight throughout the season and how they made that home a fortress.
and who can forget watching Martha pin her laundry during halftime?
Doesn't beat what game was it this past the last game that some guy had his prosthetic leg in the air. That was shit. Did you guys see that?
Yes,
No.
yes.
I think maybe it was City. I don't remember who it was, but classic.
Awesome.
Well, this would lead us to our best game of the season, best match of the season. It's funny, Ferris. I put first home match at Kenilworth Road in case no one said it in their best moments.
There you go.
But you threw it out, so I'll give you my best match, which is a more personal one then, because I agree to everything you said, and that was the October 8th when it went. Have we got a shot at this? The Arsenal 1, Man City 0 match. That was huge. I mean, there were there were moments that were big for Arsenal in the season, and especially like standing up after falling back at moments or whatever. But that was huge for me, and kind of gave me the scary feeling of hope.
Oh, it's the hope that kills.
Yeah. Well, Ferris told me if you beat the champions, you are the champion. So technically, we won the Premier League because he said that last year. If you don't
You beat them once
and tied them the second time. They sure didn't beat us. Just saying.
They did not, but you had a chance to go for it, and those 3 points would have won what? The Premier League for you. Moving on.
My best game of the season, November 12th, 2023. Chelsea v Manchester City in a thrilling 4-4 draw, which sees Palmer score a stoppage time penalty against his former club to earn a point in an edge of your seat thriller. Gentlemen, it was also the first match in Premier League to feature 4 equalizing goals since Liverpool v Arsenal had a 4-4 draw in April of 2009. Oh, what a wild whip-ass game that was. One side would go up, another side would equalize, and it was like a seesaw the entire time. And it became so frenetic in the stadium, and the energy, the game just opened up, and it was just back and forth and back and forth. What a phenomenal game of the season.
Also a really good shout. That was on my list as well.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many of them. I mean, that 4-3 Man United Liverpool at Old Trafford, but not Premier League. Premier League ones, there's a lot of United ones that were exciting. Just for one way or the other, just because of they were very entertaining.
Yeah,
they were bad,
inconsistent, and chaotic.
4-3 against Wolves, 3-2 in a Scott McTominay double against Brentford.
4-3 Chelsea.
Right when that right going the other way, right? So it's that might be it. I think a pivotal game of this season was that Arsenal Aston Villa game back maybe early April. Those 2 goals by Villa and Unai Emery kind of haunting Arsenal. Them basically that kind of sealed Villa's fight for the top 4, which they got in, and kind of sealed what ended up being Arsenal not making the title. I think that was the most pivotal game of the season. Best game of the season. I don't know if it was the best and most entertaining from that style, but what Arsenal was doing in the first half to how Villa propelled them, and then 2 quick goals, and just everything that surrounded that game made it a hell of a game. So I don't know if I have a best game of the season. There was a lot of entertaining games of the season.
Sounds like a little bit of a cop-out.
I'll continue to cop out. Here we go. Best goal of the season. As bad as United was, they are literally on the Premier League site. They have 3 of the best goals that you can vote for right now.
It is kind of funny when I went through that and saw that.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Alejandro Garnacho's bicycle kick probably wins it this year. Phenomenal. For me, Kobe Mainoo's goal against Wolves. He nutmegs a defender. sidesteps, and then slots home a winner. That kid's 18 years old. Remember, we didn't even know who he was. And he does that absolutely from yes, the bicycle kick's great, wonderful goal, but to nutmeg a defender, sidestep, and slot and curl one home, absolutely phenomenal. That's my goal of the season.
Blake?
My goal of the season might steal Ron's. The 115 million pound goal heard around the season when basically in one shot he tried to validate his expensive price. Moises Caicedo scores at half court as Chelsea against Bournemouth
season too.
on the last day of the season.
Yep.
115 million. Woo! Back of the net.
Yep.
That was wild.
He's been better than Enzo Fernandez. Have you seen some of those stats that since Enzo Fernandez hasn't been in the side, the level of like plus and minus that they have and how Chelsea got up to 6 with Fernandez not in the side?
So
we can go a lot more in depth with that.
So that is true. However, Enzo was playing with a ruptured hernia for 14 weeks. So
he's young.
He was getting injections to keep the pain down. We'll see what happens. But,
him not in the team, you guys did pretty darn well.
Agreed.
But you guys without Pochettino, who the hell knows now?
I know. It's going to be a giant dumpster fire again. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
My goal of the season is the bicycle kick heard around the world. It's an unbelievable bicycle kick, the Everton, from Ferris's favorite player on Manchester United. Dalot sends a cross, which is not nearly on the money, and Garnacho has to track back to get it
a little bit,
and so he makes quite the kick. And my second
was upper 90, right? Because he's a little bit out. He's out of ways, and then cross the goal upper 90. Yeah, this is a beautiful kick.
And then my second one was also Blake's pick, which was Moises Caicedo's Chelsea's goal of the season, certainly more than halfway shot on Bournemouth on closing day. Gentlemen, it is the longest goal of the Premier League season this year.
Well done. Something to hang your hat on there.
Yeah, right.
Surprise is not just one of the longest ones, period. That was wild.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Is this best player of the season?
Yep.
Ron, I need you to edge your camera over a little bit so I can see Ferris.
Hello.
Ferris, ready for my best player of the season?
Sure.
Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah, my man. Nicky Jackson, baby.
I had to do that for Ron, but I needed to see Ferris's face at the same time.
Yeah. Love me some Nick Jackson.
Okay.
Good. Take him to United, please.
Why not?
Okay, but for real, my best player of the season is probably is Declan Rice. Like that's a huge price to come in. Hold
on, is that your best player or the best player of your club?
Best player of the season,
okay.
In general. Declan Rice. That's a huge price over the head. A lot of folks come in sometimes that gets to be like almost a sort of Damocles hanging over you. Look at that, man. We're
nice.
Fancy over here.
Very nice.
Good shout.
But he came in and changed the team is wrong. He just did every little thing that was missing from the previous year's, good run. As you said, was that 5 points ended away from City last year. He was fantastic. Including some late winners to keep spirits going. Declan Rice, that's my shout, but without a doubt for best player of the season.
We know Ron's Nick Jackson, so I guess I'll go ahead.
Yeah, that's true at all.
I've been back and forth. Give it 1A, 1B, but I think this was a season that the kind of world was introduced to, or not introduced, but now a very well-known name in Phil Foden. I think he probably will end up as your player of the year, but a ancillary shout for Rodri. Just kind of that number 6 fancy, good tucked-in kit player. Love that. But he's been just a rock for them. You saw how the time that he was out for suspensions and that sort of thing, the kind of hit that it had on their team. So those are probably, when you're talking the season totality, those are probably best two, but Foden for me won games for them and certainly won it for them on that final day. So
My best player of the season was Rodri.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Best player of the season for your club, Blake. I'm curious of yours now since you already went Declan Rice.
All right, the dude
Doubling down,
the dude that I called in his loan year, saying he would become captain, and who did in fact become captain. We became permanent. Martin Odegaard. He was what you want out of a captain. He would rally the fans when it was time to get the place going, when they needed a little extra oomph. He was that leader on the pitch, kind of holding everything together. Declan Rice, amazing player. But I think Arsenal were also very good last year, and Martin Odegaard was there. And I just think that he is a special sort of glue that seems to be holding things together there, and he is a fantastic captain for the club.
Okay.
Fair shout.
Could see that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mine's going to surprise you guys. So, Ron, why don't you go first?
Oh, Lord.
I doubt it.
If it's your goalkeeper.
Most saves in the Premier League, baby.
It's Diego Dalot.
Oh,
After
Actually, you know what?
after
You
the
are no. I'm dead serious.
oh
right now.
my God.
I kid you not.
after you spent the whole season ragging on the dude.
Indeed. And you know what? I have done an about face. I can put my hand up and say, okay, I see what Ten Hag was seeing. In all honesty, he
Are you serious, Clark? I really feel like you're screwing. That's right.
100% my player of the season. You know, one of the few actual fit players in the back line. You know, he in all honesty, he I think he played the most minutes games for any of the back line there for United.
You serious, Clark?
Yeah. Don't feed the dog under the table. Goal scoring. That's what goal scoring. He scored some lovely goals. Even scored on the last day, and his defensive acumen improved. Mainly because he was kind of
horrible
forced
to
mainly because he was kind of forced to be that last line of defense and did a very good job of it. He also moved into midfield a lot and kind of that invert back into midfield role and did well in that. I still in a conventional back four, I still don't know if he's that player, but a modern day fullback, I kind of see why he got so many minutes and why he played as much. And for the amount of games, the amount of heart that he had, from goal scoring to pushing that, he turned my mind. And do I still go, oh, darn it, here and there? But he saved some goals, he scored some goals, and he was a constant and the Man United team that was injury ridden and a complete wreck all season. There was very few and far between games and goals that you pointed the finger and said that's completely on Dalot. So Dalot, in my opinion, and according to United, the fan vote that you can vote for right now is Bruno, which probably been our best player, Onana, and Dalot. And I kid you not, Onana did have the most saves in the Premier League this season, but then again, they also conceded a boatload of shots, so he's bound to save a few, right? It's like 115 shots. He's bound to have the most, right? Anyways, yep, Dalot is my Man United player this season.
You definitely, if I woke up with my head sewn to the staple of the carpet, I would not have been more surprised than I was for you to pick Mr. Dalot.
Fair enough.
All right. Mine is not going to be a surprise to anyone. Cole Palmer is the player of the season for Chelsea, in my opinion. 33 matches, 22 goals, 11 assists. No one else has a higher combination of goals and assists in the entire Premier League. Ollie Watkins had more assists than Cole Palmer, but had fewer goals. Ollie Watkins' assists were 13, but only 19 goals. Close, no cigar. Erling Haaland, 27 goals on the season, but only 5 assists. So I think Cole Palmer is Chelsea's player of the season and he's probably runner-up for Player of the Year for the entire Premier League, in my opinion.
Probably.
Nicky Jackson was right there.
No, he wasn't. He's busy on the offsides going, why won't anybody pass me the ball?
You had a chance to pick Nicky Jackson, Ron. I just can't
Yes,
believe
you did.
With an average of
Yes,
4
you
offsides
did.
a game.
What was his expected goal stats?
Who cares? Because they were all going to get removed anyway because he was offside. And besides, when he's 1v1 with a keeper, you know that he's not going to score because he dilly-dallies with the friggin' ball so much that the defenders
He was
take it
3
away
goals away from tying Mo Salah's goal tally.
Yeah.
That's pretty darn good.
May he reign in blue.
the out of Chelsea.
It's a good thing Blake's editing this pod.
I know. I'd be so mad at myself later.
All right, where does that leave us out? Was that all our bests of?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's all our best of predictions, gents.
Yeah, how bad did we
Right.
do as we wrap this up?
The our faithful Brewtiful Game listeners, now is a great time to go to the fridge and get another beer because these are they're not terrible, but some of them are rough. All right, start off with the top 4. We started off really good. All of us got the top 2 dead on. Man City and Arsenal 1 and 2. All of us said that. I technically had the most teams in the top 4 because I had Man City, Arsenal, and United, and Liverpool. We obviously know Man
3 out of
United,
4.
know they're there, so 3 out of 4. Blake, you put Spurs in there, and you put Chelsea in there. Both in Europe, just not that kind of Europe. Ron, Brighton and Hove
I tried.
in 3rd, and Spurs in 4th. So not terrible. This is what kind of confused me, though, was our golden boots. Because
Did none of us
Blake and I were like off our rockers.
we just didn't want to pick Holland again. That's
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Maybe that had to be because I almost like I'm picking this, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Holland. I could have sworn that I said that. Well, apparently I said Mo Salah. Okay, which is not a bad shout, right? But from Man United to Liverpool, and then Blake, you chose Son.
Well, those two didn't
So like,
age well.
that doesn't make sense. I don't remember doing that, but I don't think it didn't change at all. Or maybe did we change it at some point?
No.
I don't.
No, we did that because I was shocked you picked Mo Salah.
Maybe that was it.
And then
yeah.
I picked someone from a rival club as well. So, hey, you know what though?
What did I pick?
We should keep doing that,
Oh,
Ferris. Did we like curse him?
I don't. I don't know.
The Brewtiful curse, like Harry Kane.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Ron was just out there. Mbuemo from Brentford.
God, we really didn't want Holland to do
I don't
this again.
remember that,
Like,
but that
don't
seems like a
remember that
Ron
either.
out there pick. I'm going through like the top goal scorers right now.
And he's like 60th.
Homeboy ain't even in the top 30. Like, oh no, lies. He's 31. He's 31. Yes, he scored 9. Just to let you know where. Okay, so obviously Erling Haaland was number 1, 27 goals. Cole Palmer number 2, 22, and Isaac 21. Mo Salah finished in 7th. Son finished in 8th. So Salah had 18. Son had 17. So yeah. All right. First manager sacked. I don't think any of us got this right. Blake said Sean Dyche. Clearly not. Ferris said Mr. Handsome, Rob Edwards. Still there. And Ron said Paul Heckenbottom. And I don't think that's a far shout, but I don't think he was the first. Does anybody remember who the actual first manager of the Premier League sacked was?
didn't we look this up? I forgot it already though. Who was it?
Actually, I am very, very mistaken. Ron nailed on Paul Heckenbottom because remember, it came in December. Because if you remember correctly,
It took forever.
there was a sacking before the season of the Wolves coach that's now at Bournemouth,
Right.
Gary O'Neill.
Right.
We thought that, so you're right. So I apologize, absolutely, because it took that long. It took December, and Paul Heckenbottom was the manager sacked. Ron,
5-0.
I apologize, you won.
5-0 to Burnley was the loss. that did it.
There you go. I mean, that will kind of do it. What did I say? December 5th?
Yep.
Man, that's a hell of a last name. Heckenbottom?
I was just surprised it took so long.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Getting relegated. Like I said, all of us had at least 2 of these teams in there. Blake, you had. I put Sheffield Town. I think that's supposed to be Sheffield United, Luton Town, Everton. So pretty darn close there for a while, but you had 2 out of 3. I had similar. I had Luton Town, Everton, Burnley. So close. I was really hoping the Blades to stay up. I think that's why I went with that. And then Ron, you had Sheffield Town as well, apparently. You had Sheffield United, Luton Town, and Everton.
Oh,
We all got
Everton looked absolutely abysmal for a good long portion. So
sure
we
did.
weren't too far off.
Is there a part of you that thinks their point deductions actually helped them rally?
Yeah, most definitely.
Probably.
Because there was this whole like us
galvanized
against
the team in a way.
right.
Yeah.
It was this whole us against the Premier League mentality.
All right. Last but not least, our Leicesterish predictions as determined 8 years ago when Leicester won the league in insurmountable odds. Both of you had Chelsea involved with them. Blake had Chelsea make the top 4. Not terrible. They finished in 6th.
That's true.
Do you know what you had?
No, but I don't remember.
Apparently, this was a Leicesterish prediction then.
Yeah.
Chelsea back in Europe.
Oh,
And technically,
I got
ding
it right.
ding. They're gonna be in Europe.
Yes.
We made the argument that wasn't enough. Were we saying, "Oh, you should be a Champions League call"? Was that what we? I feel
Yeah,
like we were
but then you
thinking.
guys gave me crap the year before that for saying whatever the hell I did.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, you did a negative thing instead of a positive thing. Yeah.
I did. It was something about Frank Lampard, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yes. I don't.
No, I don't remember. Oh, hold on, wait. I got it right here.
It
actually.
was yeah.
Okay, say that.
It was something like someone will get relegated or like you did it was like no, it's supposed to be a positive thing. That is the level.
Oh no, no. Apparently last year I said Tottenham to win the league.
It was a couple of years ago. It was at my house. That's why I remember.
I don't remember who I chose. Anyways, I did like a twofer. I said Man United to win the Premier League. They finished in 8th. And Newcastle United to win the Champions League.
Oh,
They were Leicesterish.
yeah.
And they certainly
were.
played up with that way with where they came. So all in all, gents, not too bad. We're about Arsenal there in the net VAR. We're about 0 now.
At
Our
zero.
expected,
We're
expected right
We're
predictions.
somewhere in there.
Our X predictions.
Shall this lead us to I guess we kind of got to move quickly, but a quick La Liga's roundup. All right, Ferris, take it home.
Absolutely. We already gave you all the league winners of the past few pods. One of the first we gave you was Bayern Leverkusen to win the league as early as they did, and they do become the first Bundesliga team to go unbeaten throughout the entire season.
So is that them,
Yeah.
Juventus, and Arsenal are the 3 European undefeated?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. They went wire to wire, no losses in the league throughout the entire season. Their first Bundesliga title, Champions League football, will be back there. Now, one thing I've really cool. There is a tattoo parlor in the area that is giving away free tattoos to any Bayern Leverkusen fan, and they have like
Which area?
I'm sorry.
You said there's a Bayern Leverkusen, or there's a tattoo parlor in the area.
I don't know where exactly. Just somewhere in the
Leverkusen area?
Leverkusen area.
Okay. Not in Orlando.
Not in Orlando.
You're-
Yes. In the Leverkusen area, there is a tattoo parlor that's offering free Bayern Leverkusen tattoos. That's like 25 different ones that you can choose from the date to the time to the year to the logo to the badge to the
Should we just go get one?
Oh no,
Would that be cool?
no, it would. No, I'm a Dortmund fan.
Okay.
Blake's a Bayern fan in a way.
Yeah.
It's not.
Dortmund win the Champions League on June 14th or whatever. That's a shout for a tattoo, my friend.
I am going to start to work on a sleeve here. I don't.
Do you get
I always said
do
I
you get a BVB tramp stamp?
Moving on.
That wasn't a no.
No, I no, not there. Anyways, the
I threw him off.
I know you did. I was like, I'm definitely not getting a tramp stamp. Definitely not getting a Borussia Dortmund tattoo. I wouldn't say never getting a Borussia Dortmund tattoo. I'm not going to get any team of a tattoo. But if they win the Champions League, that would be something pretty spectacular. Anyways, so real quick, just the German table: Bayern Leverkusen, Stuttgart, second in the league. You have to go all the way down to third for Bayern Munich. Stuttgart, what a year they also had quietly and under kind of the umbrella there, not umbrella, but under the shadow of Bayern Leverkusen. RB Leipzig in fourth, Borussia Dortmund in fifth. All five of those teams, because of the coefficient, all made it into Champions League, because Dortmund and Bayern Munich were in the semifinals of the Champions League, and one of them are in the finals of Champions League. And then over in Europa League, you had Bayer Leverkusen advance all the way to the final, which was today, actually, which they had a chance to go unbeaten in every competition. And they got a hat trick scored against them, and they lost 3-0 to Atalanta. Atalanta wins this year's Europa League, and they will be in the Champions League next year. So will Bayer Leverkusen, but they did not go unbeaten throughout all competitions.
Which is a huge ask, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
They'd be the first team in history to do it.
They totally bottled it.
I mean, this is kind of interesting. They go all this way with the great defensive, these late goals, and they don't even score a single one. They have a hat trick scored against them.
I mean, they're just tired.
Adrian
right?
Lookman. I don't know if I'm saying his first name correct, but Lookman got a hat trick. And then lastly, real quick, it was announced this week that Toni Kroos, after the Euros, because he will be in the German Euro squad, announced that he will be retiring from the game of football. You go through this guy's just laundry list of the things that he's won. 6-time champ, or could be a 6-time Champions League winner if they win. Here in 2 Sundays from now, a World Cup winner. I mean, you name it, he's pretty much won every club and country accolade that there is in terms of just team football, individual stats. What a player Toni Kroos is, and we'll have a chance to watch him here in the Euros, and that'll be
the end.
We'll see him here in a few weeks, obviously, for his last game for Real Madrid in England, because it's in Wembley Stadium, and then he'll play in the Euros. And then also kind of one that hit home for me, and I actually have a kit on the way of his, but Marco Reus said goodbye to Dortmund after, was it like 11, 12? I can't remember now, but long time there with the club. He's going to get a chance to play in a Champions League final. He probably won't start. He'll probably come on as a sub, if anything. But his first year with the club, back when Klopp was actually manager, he went to a Champions League finals actually against Bayern that day. But announced his retirement. If you get a chance to see that, go on to YouTube and the Bundesliga account. What a match to go out on. At home, at Signal Iduna Park, a goal, a lovely free kick, and an assist for the first one. And they went pretty big on the day. Watching how he left the pitch, he got a guard of honor in like the 78th or something when he came off from both of the Darmstadt the players and Dortmund players, and then the team went over to the wall, to that famous yellow wall to say goodbye. He went up into the stands and went to the main capo stands, if you will, and talked on a mic, had a beer, and just shared fun stories of appreciation. Was chatting it up, loving the fans, and he is just one of them. Come to find out, he bought over 1,000 people in that stadium a beer that night.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm going to induct him into our first ever Brewtiful Game Hall of Fame.
That's what you got to do.
Goes out in style, just
and buys 1,000 beers.
And buys it was something. It was, you have to see it online, but it's over 1,000. And he wrote on the he wrote in German on the receipt, I can't remember what exactly it say. I'll find it here in a second, and that will be my quote of the pod. And that is your Little Leaguers Roundup.
You know what's crazy, gentlemen?
What's that?
I was at lunch today with a friend who also enjoys a good season of footy. And we were both kind of like, oh man, all the leagues are over and summer's coming. Not a lot of good sports on. And then we were like, wait a second. We have Copa America. We have the Olympics, men and women. We've got the Euros. There's a lot. The MLS is still going. There is a lot of soccer this summer, gentlemen. We're going from the frying pan to the fire.
Hey, man, and we got the pride kicking butt in NWSL, so I'm counting on them.
Yep.
Top of the table, baby.
Yeah. So we got some good footy. We'll see how long we stay out of the Premier League vortex in our subsequent pods. I got a feeling it won't be long because I think we'll have some Pochettino news. 2 weeks he's coach of Man United. 2 weeks.
We have the June 6th Premier League forum news that's going to be coming out.
Right.
We're going to have a Copa America preview, the Euros preview, Olympics preview.
Jose Mourinho returns to Premier League somewhere.
Chelsea, baby.
Could you imagine him going to? If
Yes.
Pochettino couldn't get there with the owners, could you imagine Jose Mourinho trying to roll back into this ownership group? Oh God, I would scorch earth the whole place, start over.
Actually, that would be nuke it from orbit.
Right, exactly.
Pull a little aliens action.
Yeah.
God, they just released the 4K of that, guys, by the way. God, that movie's still so good. Oh, Aliens is so good. Game over, man. It's such a good movie. All right. Well, this wraps us up. Thanks for listening to 8 of these, folks, that we've done over the years so far. These ones always run a little long, but heck, it was a heck of a fun season, and we don't even care. There's 115 things hanging over.
It's our wrap up show.
We still had a fun time. It's a good wrap up show. So my beer of the pod was from New Park Brewing over in West Hartford, Connecticut. The This and That Pilsner, delicious.
We had 2 from Armed Forces Brewing Company. Happy Memorial Day to all out there. Just remember, there are a lot of folks out there that are fighting to keep us safe, and that goes to a lot of folks just around the world in general, what their country's armed forces do for them and the people that serve and go out there. But Armed Forces Brewing Company, we had a Cat Shot American Craft Lager, and then our second one here, which is darn good, a Special Hops IPA.
Ferris, you got us a Zlatan quote to wrap things
I
up?
do not have a Marco Royce quote, my friend. On that bill, it said, "Thank you for everything, the farewell beer on me," followed by a smiley face and "Your Marco."
That's nice.
Classic.
Please follow us on the Brewtiful Game. Go to the website, the socials, leave us a review on the podcast app with Apple. That really, really does help. And tell folks about us. Speaking of telling folks about us, I told our friend of the pod, Lee Malby, I would shout out. I don't know if there's any Venn diagram crossover, but if you happen to like British comedy, our friend of the pod, Lee Malby, and I have started a watch-along series for the classic BBC comedy, The Red Dwarf, where we are watching one episode and talking about it. We drop a new one every 2 weeks. So we just wrapped up recording the first 4 episodes. The second one just dropped this past Monday, but it's called Thanks for the Memory, a Red Dwarf podcast. So if you get a chance, give it a listen. It's pretty funny. We get a little headier and deeper than I would have imagined we would over some comedy. Lee, thanks for listening to this pod and dealing with our terrible pronunciation of British things and our bad British accents. Which he did nail me for whatever one I did last week, I believe, pretty well. Now, gentlemen, I was trying to find fun football facts and I didn't really find much. But it got couched under this because it was American football. There's a thing about Marvin Gaye at one point, like I guess he wanted to try out for the Detroit Lions. It's a really cool story. Read it, look at it sometime. But it led me to another interesting, I don't know, anecdote or thing about Marvin Gaye that I was surprised. I know it seems kind of out of left field, but Marvin Gaye used to keep sheep in his vineyard. Did you guys know that he did that?
Did not?
No. He'd heard it through the grapevine.
Nice. Well done.
Thank you. And on that note, 8 of these Premier League wrap-ups. Oh my gosh. Maybe
235 episodes.
How many have we had a Man City win? Let's hope for something different next go round. It's killing us over here. Oh, gents, I love you guys. Love doing this. Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brewtiful Game.